Hello everyone, thank you for watching the tutorial. Be sure to watch the entire thing as I'm going to give you several tips and tricks as to how to use Blender throughout this entire video. Also be sure to hit like and subscribe if you like this video. I am producing a lot of Blender tutorials right now, and so you'll be notified the next time I post one. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so we're starting off here, brand new Blender document. We're going to go ahead and select everything. We're gonna select everything by left click and dragging over everything. Hit delete. Okay, we deleted everything. Now we're going to add a sphere by hitting Shift A, go to Mesh, UV Sphere, and we're going to scale this thing up big. We're going to hit S to scale, and then hit 9, and then hit 9 again. And we have a gigantic sphere. This is going to be our planet. Okay, so let's see. First thing we want to do is we want to go to our modifiers, and we're going to add modifier, generate, subdivision surface, and we're going to bump the levels up to 3. Be sure to set 3 on both your viewport and your render. Okay, so we have a nice shiny sphere here. We can still see some quads here, so we're going to right click, shade smooth. So now this is nice and smooth. Now what we need to do is we need to go and add some textures, but first we need to go grab some textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to my web browser. And you're going to want to go to solarsystemscope.com, and you're going to go over to Explore, and we're going to go to Textures right here. And on this page, we have a whole plethora of textures. And what we want to do is we're going to scroll down to the Earth textures, and you're going to need to download the textures for, basically, you're going to want to download all 5 of these textures right here. Depending on your system specs, you'll either want to go with the 2K version or the 8K version. I'm going with the 8K version because I have a pretty heavy duty system. Another thing you probably want to grab is you want to grab the stars and Milky Way texture right here. This is what we'll use for the background for the scene. Anyways, going to hop back over to Blender. So we have our sphere. This is going to be our planet. We're going to go ahead and start adding some textures to this. We're going to select our sphere. And we're going to go over to the shading tab. Scroll out. When you go to the shading tab, it automatically is in preview mode, which will allow you to see your textures, what you're adding to your object. We're going to go over here to our material properties, and we're going to click the down arrow on this little beach ball right here. We're going to select our material right here. This is the default material that comes preloaded in Blender. Going to change this to Earth. I'm going to change it to Surface. Okay, so this will be our planetary texture. And we're going to go down here, and we're going to start adding in, we're going to add in a couple of different things here. We're going to go ahead and take our material, actually, I'm sorry. We're going to go ahead and just click right here to deselect everything. We're going to select our material output and drag it out a bit. Just down here. And we're going to add in a couple of different things. We're going to go Shift A, and we're going to go to Texture. We're going to go to Image Texture. Going to drop this right here. Going to scale it up a little bit because we want to be able to see everything. And we're going to copy and paste this 3 times. Control C, Control V. Again, Control V. And a 4th one, Control V. Okay, so we're going to add in 4 different textures here for this, just for the texture of the planet itself. Okay, now we're going to add in a bump map. We're going to hit Shift A. I'm going to type in bump. Now we're going to add an emission. Just basically kind of going through our shopping list here. Shift A, add another thing. This will be the last one here. I'm going to put in add shader. All right, let's start loading these things up. We're going to go to our top image texture right here. I'm going to click open. Okay, I'm in my Earth textures directory right here. And first one I'm going to use is I'm going to use the 8K Earth day map, or if you download the 2K versions, it'll be the 2K Earth day map. So I'm going to select that, open image. Okay, so that's loaded in there. This one, I'm going to load in the specular map. So I'm going to open, go to Earth textures, 8K Earth specular map, open image. Right here, we're going to add in our normal map. For some reason, it keeps resetting. Normal. And then right here, we're going to add in our night map. Okay, now we need to start connecting these. So we're going to start with our day map, which is our top image texture right here. Click on the color, the yellow. We're going to go yellow to yellow. We're going to drop this onto the base color. And then on the specular, we're going to click the little dot right here next to color, and we're going to drag it over to specular. So you can see we're seeing some updates here. Now for the normal map, we're going to click and drag the color from the normal map, and we're going to drop it onto the height. And then we're just going to go ahead and plug in the normal right here on our bump into the normal. Okay. And then for our night map, we're going to drag that to our emission, color to color. We're going to set the strength to 0.05. And then we're going to connect the emission. Well, actually, before we connect the emission, we're going to drag the add shader up here. Just drag it over this line. You'll see it lights up. Okay, now we're going to bring it down. It's connected from our principal BSDF to our material output. We've broken up with the add shader. So we're going to add this other shader. And so now, you can't see it right now. I'm actually, if we zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see the lights and everything in some parts. Yeah, you can kind of see them here, but it's not as noticeable. We don't want them to be noticeable in the daylight. So, okay, we're going to zoom out from our planet. And what we need to do now is we need to add a light source. And now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our render preview. As you can see, the lights are off, the sun's out, sun burned out. Sorry, guys, we only have 8 minutes to live. Shift A, we're going to go to light, and we're going to add a sun. I'm going to hit G, X-axis, move it out a bit. We're going to brighten up the sun a bit. We're going to hit 5. That's pretty good. And we're going to rotate, hit R to rotate, Y-axis, bring it up a bit. Just kind of where the eastern United States and South America are lit up. Of course, as is Africa and most of Europe. Okay, so we've got our planet. And I forgot we need to go back to our texture and we need to change some settings real quick on the principal BSDF. We're going to change our specular tint to 0.818. And we're going to change our roughness to 0.273. So yeah, it makes our specular a little less bright. Okay, the rest of that looks good. Okay, I'm going to zoom out, just take a look and see. I try to keep a little more order than this, so just kind of drag these in a bit, just so you can kind of see more of what you're working with. Try to be as clean with these as possible, because otherwise you end up with a big mess. Actually, we're gonna bring this up. Just being a little nitpicky here, guys. Bear with me. Hopefully, you guys are getting things out of this, out of these tutorials. I've been really enjoying doing these tutorials, and hope you guys are taking a lot away from them. If you have any ideas or anything I could do better, just leave a comment below, and let me know. Anyways, we're gonna keep going because we still got a lot more to do here. What we're gonna do now is we have our planet, but now we need some clouds and we need some atmosphere. We're gonna hit Shift D, so we have another planet. As you see, if I drag my mouse around, we're gonna hit Escape. We're going to hit scale. It has S to scale it up a bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and click New Material, because we don't want to replace the old one. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to Earth Clouds. And just for humor, hit G. Actually, okay. And what we're going to do now is now we've got our Earth Clouds. We're going to change this. So now we're going to select everything and delete except for the add shader and material output. But what we want to do really quickly is go up here and make sure we didn't delete our earth texture. Okay, so the earth texture is still there. Hit escape. So okay, so now we just got a big black orb there. No big deal. We're going to fix that here in a minute. Okay, we need to add a couple of things to this. We've already got our add shader. Actually, we need to change add shader. We're gonna go and delete add shader as well. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna hit Shift A. We're gonna add in a mix shader. Put it right here. We're gonna add a couple of things. Shift A. And do a search ramp. We want to do a color ramp. Drop that in here. Shift A. Search. Oops, not traz. We want transparent, not translucent. BCF. Shift A. Diffuse. And then lastly, we're going to add an image texture. And we're going to make use of one of the other textures that we downloaded from the site. Going to click open, go to our Earth Textures directory. And now we're going to add our Earth clouds.jpg. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to connect the color to the face right here. And we're going to click our white over here on the color ramp. We're going to drag it in a bit to about 945. Then when you start connecting some of these together, we're going to connect the color to the face on the mix shader. And then on our BSDF here, we're going to click this. We're going to connect this to the shader here and connect here. Leave all these settings as is. And we're going to connect shader to surface. Oh my God, that does not look like clouds. Well, we haven't changed all of our settings yet. We need to do one more thing. We need to go over here to our settings right here on the side panel. We need to change the blend mode to alpha blend. And it looks pretty good. We got some clouds. The only thing is we have something weird going on here. It's not really quite working well with the shading. What we want to do now is we want to deselect show backface. There. Now the lighting is working pretty good and we've got some nice clouds around our planet. Next thing we want to do is we want to add some atmosphere. So we're going to do the same kind of thing we did again. We're going to click the cloud layer and hit Shift A. I'm sorry. We're going to hit Shift D. We're going to scale it up again a little bit. Okay, that's our atmosphere layer. And again, with the atmosphere layer selected, actually, let's go ahead and name our layers real quick, guys. We're going to change this to atmosphere. We're going to select sphere 1, which is our cloud layer. We're going to change that to clouds. And we're going to select sphere, and we're going to change that to earth. Name your objects, guys. It'll make your life a lot easier down the line. Okay, so let's go back to our atmosphere layer. We've got earth clouds here right now. We're going to click new material. We're going to change this to earth atmosphere. We're going to leave a couple of these objects right here. Actually, we're going to leave several of them. We just need to change one thing. We're going to delete our, actually, before we do anything else, we're going to disconnect the mix shader from the surface. Change this to your atmosphere layer to black. Might happen if we have like a nuclear war or something like that and blot out the sky with the clouds and everything. Delete our image texture and we're going to hit Shift A, search. We're going to do layer weight. I'm going to, let's see, that's correct. We're going to select facing to face. And then we're going to add in another point. We're going to move this over here, just kind of in between the RGB and linear right here. Hit Control and left click. And we're going to change this point to black. And then we're going to change from linear to B-spline. Drag this in a bit. Okay, everything else looks correct. Oh, I'm going to change our, actually before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect this shader to surface. And we have our atmosphere layer. Going to change the color to kind of a nice little blue. Try to be more towards teal than purple. We don't really want a purple atmosphere. Bring down the darkness a bit. And we've got a nice beautiful planet here, guys. I'm going to try to scale in some stuff real quick. Let's see. We've got our clouds in our atmosphere. We're going to scale them in a bit. Scale in our atmosphere. Okay, we need to add a background. So let's go to object down here. We're going to click on it. We're going to go to world. And we need to add in a background. Okay, we're going to add in our background now. So we're going to do Shift A. We're going to do world output. Okay. Have to double click on this if it's gray. Double click on, it'll turn red. I'm going to hit Shift A. We're going to go to texture. Do an environment texture, not an image texture. It won't work if you do an image texture. And also, again, make sure you're on world right now, not object. Click open. Earth textures, stars, Milky Way. Go drag the color to the surface. And bam, we have, we're going to drag, open this up a bit more. We have our Milky Way texture, and we've got a planet in space here. Looking pretty good, guys. Now let's add just a little bit more effects to this. Let's add just a little more visual interest and everything to kind of give a little more depth. Okay, so one thing we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit more atmosphere here just to the entire thing. So we're going to do a Shift A, Mesh, Cube, hit S to scale, and we're going to hit 9, and then 9 again, and then 9 again. So now we have a gigantic cube. And let's see, looks like we're within the, I'm going to click to our wireframe here. Kind of looks like we're within our cube here. I'm going to just do something really quick here. I'm going to bring out our arrow here, go to view, and change the end to 2000. As you can see, our world is encased in a giant cube in this wireframe here. I'm going to go back to our render preview. So, okay, so you can't really see outer space because we're in a cube now. What we're going to do with our cube is we're going to add a volume scatter shader to it. So, okay, I'm going to drag this up a bit. And again, let's make sure we take it off of world and go back to object. So, okay, so we've got our cube selected, and we're going to add a material to it. We're going to add a new material. Click new. I'm going to change this to haze. Because, you know, it's hazy in space. There's a lot of smoke and stuff in space and fog and everything. And yeah, I'm full of crap. I'm making that up. Okay, just deselect, drag our material output here. And we're going to delete our BSDF. I'm going to hit Shift A. And we're going to search for volume scatter. Drop this in right here. Change some of our settings here. We're going to change the density to 0.005. Going to change the anisotropy to 0.8. And then the color, we're going to just give it a nice kind of orangish red color. And then we're going to drag the volume to the volume of the material output. And as you can see, we have a nice just kind of glow from our sun. I'm going to open this up a bit more so you guys can see. Close this up. And yeah, we have a planet in space looking good. Just for fun, I'm going to add in a camera. I'm going to hit Shift A and go down to camera. And just real quick, I'm going to go over to view and align view, align active camera to view. And we're going to set our focal length of the camera to, actually no, we're going to leave our focal length at 50 millimeters. And we're going to change our clip end to 2000 just so we can have a bit more view distance here. And let's see, we still have our camera selected. We're going to go to view. We're going to go navigation, walk navigation, and just press W and hold shift. And we're kind of zooming out from our Earth here. See, let's take a, well, actually, we're going to change some render settings real quick, guys. Going to go up to render properties. Let's see, turn on ambient occlusion, bloom, depth of field, high quality, jitter camera, subsurface scattering, screen space reflections, turn on refraction, motion blur, because we're going to be using that later for whenever we do some animation. Volumetrics, we're going to change tile size to 2. Volumetric shadows, performance, high quality normals, hair, we don't have any hair on the planet. Shadows, going to turn those up to 4096. Cascade size, 4096. High bit depth. Indirect lighting, we're not going to mess with that right now. Film, simplify, we're not going to mess with any of that right now. You know what? I'm actually going to brighten up our sun just a bit more. Let's see, we need to go down to our object data properties. Let's turn our sun up to 10 on the strength. There. And it's also on our shadows. Make sure and turn on contact shadows so we can try to get some God rays and such. Kind of move around a bit. I'm gonna align our camera to our active view. All right, hit F12 to render. Looking good. We have a planet. We have stars in the background. Looking pretty good so far. You know what? Let's just do a little animation real quick. And let's just show you some basic keyframing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna, let's say, deselect everything. Go over to our animation tab. Of course, that resets us back to the that sets us back to solid mode. So we need to click on our render preview. Zoom out. Actually, let's just go ahead and click the little camera. So we snap to our camera view. Drag this over. Don't need that right now. Okay, so we want to add some rotation. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go up to our. But first, let's click on our filter up here. Let's turn on the selectable button so it appears right over here. We want to make it to where only the atmosphere, clouds, and the Earth are selectable. So we're gonna disable. We're gonna disable the camera, the cube, which is our haze, and the sun. So okay, so we're gonna select our Earth, clouds, and atmosphere. Those are the only things that we want to mess with right now. Notice that our frame is already set at frame 1 for the timeline. So we're gonna hit I. And we're going to keyframe rotation at frame 1. Then we're going to drag this all the way up to frame 250. And we're going to rotate the Earth. One thing we want to do real quick before I rotate the Earth is we want to rotate it along its normals. Because we've rotated the Earth a bit and we want to rotate by the poles, which are now, because we rotated the Earth, it's now at a slight angle. So when we hit R to rotate and Z, along the Z-axis, it's going to rotate it along the Z-axis of the sphere. So we're going to rotate the sphere just a little bit, not too much. And we're going to hit I to keyframe, rotation. So as you can see, we have just a slight bit of rotation. Okay, as you can see, we have a nice bit of rotation on the Earth. Now one thing we're going to do is we're going to offset the clouds a bit. Actually, one thing we're going to do real quick is I'm going to select everything again, and on our keyframes, I'm going to set the interpolation mode to linear. Looks like it's set it for both the start and ending keyframes. By linear, basically what that means is it's not going to ease into the rotation. It's just going to immediately start going. Originally, it was set to Bezier, which means that it's going to have a slight kind of a slight delay in starting, almost like whenever your car starts moving or something like that, unless you immediately slam on the gas and your car just takes off like a drag racer. Easing in for animations is good for like if you want to make something kind of slowly come in for a stop or something like that, like if you're having a ship land or something like that and it kind of slows down as it comes down, if it's landing, in a vertical landing mode or something like that. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Part 2 is coming up pretty soon here. And with that, I'm going to add a bit more animation and a little storytelling to that, which should be a lot of fun. Anyways, hope you guys are really enjoying these. If you can, do me a favor, hit like and hit subscribe so you'll be notified of future videos. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Have a great one.